In 1608, a man wanted for murder painted the largest artwork of his entire career. He was hiding on an island in the Mediterranean. A papal death sentence hung over his head, enforceable by anyone, anywhere in the world. And instead of running, he picked up a brush. What he painted in those months became what many art historians consider one of the 10 greatest works of art ever created. It still hangs in the same room where he left it, in the same city, on the same wall, and hidden inside it, in a place nobody could see for over 300 years, is a signature written in a dead man's blood. His full name was Michelangelo Merisi da Caravaggio. Born in Milan in 1571, both his parents killed by plague when he was 6 years old, he arrived in Rome in his early 20s with almost nothing. Within a few years, he had become the most celebrated painter in the city. His style was unlike anything Rome had seen. He painted real people, dirty fingernails, torn clothes, bruised skin. He put criminals, prostitutes, and peasants into sacred religious paintings, and the church kept commissioning them anyway. Because the paintings were extraordinary, but off the canvas, Caravaggio was a disaster. 11 court appearances in 7 years. He brawled constantly. He was arrested for throwing a plate of artichokes at a waiter. He dueled in the streets. The most powerful noblemen in Rome kept protecting him, paid his fines, erased his name from records, because losing Caravaggio meant losing the greatest painter alive, until the night of May 28, 1606, when even they could not save him. A tennis court in Rome's Campo Marzio district. Caravaggio met a man named Ranuccio Tomassoni, a gangster, his rival, and the pimp of a woman named Filida Melandroni, a courtesan Caravaggio had painted multiple times. Some historians believe he had fallen in love with her. The two men had been circling each other for years. That night, it ended in blood. In 2002, a historian searching through the Vatican archives found a surgeon's report written the night Tomassoni died. It described exactly where the fatal wound was, the femoral artery in the groin. This was not a street fight that went too far. Caravaggio had tried to castrate Tomassoni with his sword and accidentally killed him. Pope Paul V issued a death sentence enforceable by any citizen anywhere in the world. Caravaggio fled Rome that same night, first to Naples, then onto a ship headed for Malta. Malta was home to the Knights of St. John, one of the most powerful military and religious orders in the world. And here is where the story becomes almost unbelievable. Instead of hiding, Caravaggio painted. He painted portraits of the knights, altarpieces for their churches. He made himself indispensable. He became so valued that the Grand Master of the Knights of Malta, Alof de Wignacourt, decided to make him a Knight of the Order of St. John. A man with a papal death sentence on his head, wanted for murder across all of Italy, had just been knighted by one of the most powerful men in the Mediterranean. That is how extraordinary he was. To mark this new chapter, the order commissioned him to paint the centerpiece of their oratory inside St. John's Co-Cathedral in Valletta. The subject they chose, the beheading of St. John the Baptist, a man condemned to death, painting and execution. He completed it in 1608. It is the largest painting he ever made, 3.7 meters tall, 5.2 meters wide. When you stand in front of it in Malta today, it takes up an entire wall. The figures inside it are life-sized. But what makes this painting revolutionary is not its size. It is what Caravaggio chose to remove. In 1608, religious paintings were expected to be full of divine symbols, angels descending from heaven, golden light, sacred architecture, signs that God was present and watching. Caravaggio removed all of it. There are no angels here, no heavenly light, no divine intervention, just 6 ordinary people in a dark prison courtyard, and a death that nobody is going to stop. This painting is almost audibly quiet. Caravaggio deliberately removed every source of noise. No soldiers, no crowd, no celestial choir. Just the scrape of a dagger, the shift of a dress, the sound of blood hitting stone. He did not paint a martyrdom. He painted a murder. Let us look at what he actually painted. At the center, John the Baptist lies face down on the ground. His arms are bound behind him. The executioner stands over him. But notice, the sword is already on the floor. It was not enough. The executioner is reaching for a dagger to finish what the sword began. His face is completely blank. This is not violence for him. This is simply work. To the right stands Salome. She holds the golden platter that will receive the Baptist's head. Look at her face. She is not horrified. She is not triumphant. She is expressionless, waiting, as if she has already accepted what is happening. Behind her, an older woman. She has her hands over her ears, not her eyes, her ears, because the sounds are worse than anything she can see. To the left, a jailer points downward, giving instructions to the executioner like a foreman directing a laborer, and in the upper right, two figures watching from behind prison bars. Many art historians believe one of those prisoners is Caravaggio himself, a man watching his own fate play out on the canvas he is painting. Because his fate and the Baptist's were the same, both condemned, both unable to escape. Now look at the floor, at the blood spilling from the Baptist's wound onto the stone below. Look very carefully at that blood. Written in it, letters, F. Michelangelo, his name, in the blood. This is the only painting Caravaggio ever signed. In a career spanning over 2 decades and hundreds of works, this is the only one. And he did not put his name in a corner, not on a frame, not on a plaque. He wrote it in the blood on the floor. Nobody could read it for over 300 years. It was only during restoration work in the 1950s that the signature became visible to modern eyes. For 3 centuries, it sat there, hidden in the paint, invisible to everyone who stood before this painting. And when historians finally read it, they could not agree on what it meant. The F could stand for fra, meaning brother. His new title as a Knight of Malta, he was signing his reborn identity. Or the F could stand for facet, a Latin word meaning made or did. Caravaggio made this painting, but did he also mean Caravaggio did this, as in the murder, the blood, the running, all of it? The word was chosen with deliberate ambiguity, a confession and a signature at the same time, written in a martyr's blood. Most videos about this painting stop at the signature, but there is one more detail that is almost impossible to believe. After Caravaggio finished this painting, he attacked a senior knight in a brawl. The order arrested him. He escaped from prison. He fled the island, and the Order of Malta held a formal ceremony to expel him, stripping him of his knighthood and declaring him a foul and rotten member. That ceremony took place in the oratory of St. John's Co-Cathedral in Valletta, directly in front of this painting. The men who expelled him stood before the largest work he ever made, his name written in blood on the floor in front of them, and they declared him no longer one of them. For 4 years after Malta, Caravaggio kept running. Naples, Sicily, Naples again. In Naples, unknown attackers found him and slashed his face so badly that rumors spread across Italy that he was already dead. He wasn't. He kept painting. He kept trying because he believed a pardon was coming from Rome. And then in 1610, word arrived. The pardon had been granted. He was free. He packed his belongings and boarded a boat headed for Rome. He never arrived. Caravaggio died on July 18th, 1610, in a small port town called Porto Ercole, of a fever or a wound. The exact cause is still unknown. He was 38 years old. The papal pardon was waiting for him in Rome when he died. He had been free. He just didn't make it in time. The beheading of St. John the Baptist still hangs in Malta, in the same oratory, on the same wall, in the same room where Caravaggio was declared a foul and rotten member. The signature still sits in the blood on the floor. F. Michelangelo, 300 years invisible. Now the most discussed signature in the history of art. Was it a confession, a plea for mercy, a prayer written in the only language he truly knew? Or was it simply what it says? A man, his name, and the work he left behind. This is the beheading of St. John the Baptist by Caravaggio, painted in 1608 and still housed today in the oratory of St. John's Co-Cathedral in Valletta, Malta. What do you think the signature means? A confession, a plea, or simply a name? Leave your answer in the comments. I will be reading everyone. Thank you for watching until the end.